Welcome to it, sports fans. The MKT Show. I'm MKT. That's G Cliff. Welcome to it. It is Friday. What a nice way to end off the weekend and big sports weekend. Lakers did their thing last night, so they'll have one game left to take down Jamal Murray and the Joker. Oh, man, great game this morning. And then the Premier League is back. It's on fire now. Nobody has excuses. Everybody's played at least one game. So we should start to see the best football. So really looking forward to that. And today's Friday, of course. So what does that mean? Friday 5, the huge. Remember, like, share, subscribe. Be a friend, tell a friend. Cliff Central Sport on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. And then Cliff C Sport, of course, on the Twitter machine, on the Tweet Monster. By the way, push like and subscribe to the channel, please. That'll push us up the ratings. Welcome to it. If you got any suggestions, sport at cliffcentral.com. Let us know what's up and send us your videos, and we will play the living daylights out of them on the show. I'm MKT. This is the MKT Show. It is Friday, so we know what that means. I cannot wait. Great weekend of football. I can't wait for this weekend. It's going to be awesome. Both the American version, of course, Monday Night Football. That is going to be the game of the year. It might be the greatest game in the last 50 years. Of course, last year in Mexico City, we know what happened there. That was unbelievable. Chiefs, Rams. But Lamar going up against Patrick Mahomes is just going to be insane. It is the first time any two quarterbacks with a streak of 8 and over, right? 8 and over in the regular season are meeting each other, I think, since 1969. So that is going to be awesome. Two of the young guns, two of the faces of the league. And then Premier League. I mean, that is Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea play West Brom. United, Brighton. I think that's a great game to kick off the weekend. So really looking forward to that. But it is Friday. Thank you for joining us. Let's get into it. It is the Friday 5. Tonight, I'm going to start off by telling you who I think the greatest combos of all time in the Premier League are. The 5 greatest combinations that I have ever seen in the Premier League. Not in the history of English football. I only care from when things got professional. I don't care what plumbers were doing in 1986. I don't. I care about the real deal from 1992 onwards. Let's get into it. At number 5, listen, these two were unbelievable. The crowning measure, of course, not in the Premier League, but in 99, they went to the treble. They took Fergie to the promised land and beyond, all the way to Valhalla, of course, that magical night in Germany. They were unstoppable. They rolled absolutely everybody this season. This guy came from Aston Villa. They got the other guy from Newcastle. And once they got together, telepathic, these two. Telepathic. I mean, famous for that, the pass from the midfielder, the step over, one would go around the corner and the other would flick it back around the corner. And it was good night, nurse. It was good night, nurse. Absolutely sensational. The first team in Premier League history to win 3 in a row, the three-peat. And these two were at the very center of it. At number 5, absolutely unstoppable. One from the West Indies, one, of course, made in the UK. The one and only Dwight York, Andy Cole. They were unstoppable. There were 3 years there where this was untouchable because they brought their own flavor as well. And then York was the next level, right? They had Teddy Sheringham, but then they brought Dwight York in, and him and Cole straight away. 3 in a row. Never been done before. Absolutely outstanding. That number 4. Listen, this guy doesn't get enough credit. One half of this combination does not get enough credit. Sort of a maverick, all about the hairstyles, all about the lifestyle. You know, up in Scandinavia, they love him and they hate him. He's different. He certainly does it his own way. He's got that Swedish arrogance. But on the football field, absolutely unstoppable. I've always argued with Arsenal fans. I always thought he was better than the French guy they had on the other side. But everybody always goes with Pires. But I'm afraid, for me, in part of the Invincible group, he was up and down. He was all about assists. I mean, that one season they got, I think, 20 assists to goals between him and Henry, give or take. The guy's unbelievable. So the 4th greatest combo of all time, it has to be these two. They were at the center. And he played basically every game, never got injured, unbelievable fitness level and the quality. And remember, he would break late into the box and score crucial goals all the time. But when they were humming, him and Henry, absolutely unstoppable. At number 4, Thierry Henry and the guy, Freddie Ljungberg. This combo was sickening. You know, you never think of it because Freddie was just methodical. He would get through his work. But put him in a spot, him and Henry together, they'd overload the left, and good night nurse. Yeah, it was just too late. Nothing you could do about and the pace and power and precision from Henry, and then just the workmanlike and that touch of magic. I mean, Freddie was a maverick. He was a maverick, and so special. At number 3, listen, it's modern money. You don't have to like it, but they've been living La Vida Loca for the last 5-6 years, and one of them is the best number 10. There just hasn't been a number 10 like him in this league ever. The other is, he's getting into the top 3, I would say, greatest strikers the league's ever seen. He's absolutely unstoppable. But these two took over the league for the last, at their peak. So after the Pellegrini win, I'd say probably in between all of that 4 or 5 years, together they won. They were just unstoppable. They were unstoppable because the guy up front has power like you can't imagine. And then the other guy can see a pass that very few outside of Cesc Fabregas have been able to see. So as soon as the movement happens, this guy would pick it. It was, once again, telepathic, magical. It must have been the Spanish connection. It really must have been. That's all I can imagine. Because they took it to another level. England's kind of been more of a power league. But these two gave you that combination, finesse and brute. Ladies and gentlemen, at number 3, the one and only, Merlin and Kun Aguero. I mean, Silva is just special. He's the best number 10 to ever play. And Kun Aguero, he's certainly the greatest striker to ever play for a team in Manchester. I can't go all the way on the greatest striker in the league, but these two have been just an immovable force. And it's the length of quality. It's the titles now. See, once the silverware piles up, once it's, okay, 1 title, anyone can do 2 titles, anyone can do 3 titles, 3rd manager, okay. You're special. This combo is underrated, and it sickens me. Absolutely sickens me. At number 2, you know what? The one is still the only player in the Premier League, right, to win World Player of the Year. Some might say Henry should have won it, but okay, argument for a different time. But when they got the other one, and especially in the circumstances they got him, and it was strange because Fergie doesn't make bad decisions. I think we all saw Fergie always made Man United decisions. But when they got this guy, it took them over the top. Now, there was a third component to this, and I've never been a fan, but he's got big numbers, and Man United fans seem to think he's underrated. But these two, once they came together, once this guy came in, right, it took United to the promised land. Once again, it made United different from everybody, and for 1 year, different from everybody on the continent. The other will go down as possibly he'll definitely be the greatest European player of all time, I think, when it's all said and done. Some will argue greatest of all time. The other was a maverick. He took off halfway in the season to go and play golf when he moved to the noisy neighbors. But this was still, folks, look, 3 times in a row they did it again. Man United twice. But it needed this guy to come in because he was different to everyone else in the league. At number 2, Cristiano Ronaldo, and the one and only, the pit bull, coming out of Boca Junior's favorite son, Carlitos Tevez. This was unstoppable. This was for 3 seasons in a row, they had Vidic at the back and these two up front. It was a nightmare. Because this is when Ronaldo went from boy to man, I think, right? Like this period, it was around that, what was it, 06 to 09. Oh my God. And then because United were kind of nicey for a while, right? Up front there, it was kind of nicey. Rooney not really into it. Rooney was doing his own thing. Quality player, but probably never really grew up. And then you bring this guy. Tevez had everything that he had, everything that Rooney had, and everything that Ronaldo had. The technical quality that Ronaldo possesses, and that world-class nature. And then he had that. Yeah, you're not gonna push him one step back. And that allowed Ronaldo to go to a level. Perhaps the Premier League hasn't seen a single season from a player like Ronaldo did once Tevez came in that second season. Absolutely unstoppable. One of the greatest, it makes you sick to say it if you're not a Man United fan, one of the most enjoyable things to watch was these two together in full stride. Poetry in motion. Cristiano Ronaldo, Carlitos Tevez, that Latin flair, you just can't coach it. The flicks, the goals, the spectacular goals. I mean, they will try anything and make it look easy. And in the end, Ronaldo's ability to just work through all adversity. And Tevez really to be mean and chase everything. But then, hey, give it to him in the box. Good night. And I think what they did was elevate Rooney to the level Rooney's never known without them. Because when you see Tevez at that level with that work rate and still that technical ability, but Rooney doesn't have that natural ability that these two had, and then they work like dogs. Tevez for what he was. Imagine Tevez was disciplined. Absolutely incredible. But hey, what more can you ask for? They went 3 in a row. Tevez, absolutely exceptional. Always a little bit of controversy, but you need it. One Maverick a generation, right? One mad guy a generation. And it was Tevez this time, and he took Ronaldo to the level, to world player status, and awesome to watch. Just awesome to watch. On top of the table, though, I think there is no contest. There is no contest. Roman brought his rubles from Russia in 2003, and he went on an escapade for 3 years of spending. And Man United had bullied everybody financially and on the football pitch for 15 years. Roman came into town, and the league has never, and European and world football has never been the same again. But the greatest thing he ever did, it was just before him. Chelsea managed to convince a boy from West Ham to come through to Stamford Bridge. And then when Jose Mourinho was asked, hey, Jose, it's a pretty famous story, and he was asked, who do you want as a striker? And I believe Zlatan was in the mix, and there were all sorts of greats with a blank check. And he said, Mr. Abramovich, I want this man. Look, they had the greatest season. I think it was 20 assists to goals in one season. They were absolutely unstoppable. Lampard is still the greatest midfielder I think we've ever seen in the English Premier League. Just he was complete. There's nobody who like him. You look at his goals, he's in the top 3 for that. He's for assists, he's in the top 3 for that as well. Top 4. There's just no one like him. There hasn't been a combination like this. And they just the two of them ripped the title away from Manchester United. And there's never been a combination like this. Right? They got it so right. Pace, power, intelligence. One would arrive later to the box. One would hold it up for the other. One would play the through balls. And the set pieces from Lampard, absolutely brilliant. I don't think the league will see another combination like this, because I still don't think you'll see another guy like the striker. Complete pace, left, right, power, hold it up. Doesn't matter what you got to do. Crosses, crucial goals, big cup finals, big stage players. The greatest 1-2 punch the Premier League has ever seen. I don't care how biased you are. It's not a hometown call. There's never been anything like it. It's Frank Lampard and Didier Drogba. Go and look at the numbers. These two, it's just, as a 1-2 punch, did they leave some titles on the table? Yeah, perhaps. Maybe 1 or 2 titles where they should have maybe snatched it. But just as a 1-2 combo, you've never seen anything like it. And I loved Ronaldo and Tevez. I loved that as a combination. But these two, in the end, it was clockwork. It was clockwork. It was absolute clockwork in the end. And you're asking both guys. I mean, Lampard got, 18 goals in one season from midfield and 22 assists. That's with Drogba in the team, by the way. No, come on now. Absolutely brilliant. And these two changed the face of English football, because the power and pace they brought to the league meant United couldn't run away with it anymore. What Abramovich did with these two was essentially what we see now, Man City. Without Abramovich, there is no Man City, and we don't have the product we have today. Good for the league, good for everybody. Love to hear what people think, but I can't see it. I can't see anything outside of that. And I think, it's for people who hate Man United, you can't deny that they deserve 2 pairs in the top 5. They're the most dominant team in Premier League history. Of course they're going to have the most combos. You don't win without players. Cole and York, unstoppable. Ronaldo, Tevez, unstoppable. So of course they're going to have the most. But just as a 1-2 punch, I don't think there's been anything like Drogba and Tevez. Drogba and Lampard. One is the second greatest striker the Premier League's ever seen, and one is the greatest midfielder the league's ever seen. Hard to argue against it. Hard to argue against it. Love to know what people think. Dave, give me that list one more time. We'll go through it for the people. At 5, Cole York. At 4, Henri Ljungberg. At 3, David Silva, Merlin, the wizard himself. And Sergio Kun Aguero at number 2, Cristiano Ronaldo, the only man to have ever won, of course, the Ballon d'Or while playing in the Premier League. And then he was joined by Argentina, Boca Juniors' big man, Carlitos Tevez. Quite incredible. He took off, right? This is how good Tevez was. People must pay some respect for this guy. He took the season off, right? 7 months he was off playing golf in Argentina. He came back and he looked like Bam Bam Bigelow. He looked like he was in the 3rd trimester of his pregnancy when he returned. Mancini was in huge trouble, came back overweight, and still drove Man City to the title. Carlos Tevez, for all his off-field stuff, listen, be who you can afford to be. When you're all-time talent like that, unlike Wayne Rooney, I think Wayne Rooney's behavior didn't justify his play on the pitch. He wasn't good enough to be doing what Wayne Rooney did off the pitch. But Tevez, if you're Maradona, you can get away with it. Next level talent. And to see Ronaldo, Tevez at their peak together, as a football fan, put aside your biases. As a football fan, Ronaldo and Tevez were just a treat. But there's been nothing like Drogba and Lampard. I think you're not being honest. You're not being honest as a football fan if you say you've seen a better combo than Drogba and Lampard. You're not being honest. And you're also not being honest, by the way, if you don't say Man United deserve two combos in there, because you can't deny Cole and York and Ronaldo and Tevez. They're part of the only 2 generational teams that went on to 3 in a row. Never been done by any other team. Twice by United. Both of those combinations were at the very center of it. That is it. That's the Friday 5. Love to know what people think. I would love to know what people think. Right, listen. Let's talk about the oval ball, because some news came out in the last, I think, 2 or 3 days ago. It's not really news, but it's kind of confirmed now. We're going up north. And a few people, I think everybody's always on about the timeline and the money. And you know what my situation is I think it's stupid. And I absolutely resent Sansa and I resent SA Rugby for it. I'll tell you why. It makes no sense to me that at no stage in the last 10 years can anybody say South African rugby has been organized in the last 10 years. If you're honest with yourself as a South African rugby fan, forget about the international, Springboks, whatever. At no stage has the Currie Cup felt organized. At no stage has a brand been built around the Currie Cup. At no stage. Folks, when you build the business, right, we know how it is. First 3 years, operational and functional. Always, every business. It takes 3 years to get a business operational and functional. I don't care what industry you're in. That is the cardinal rule. First 3 years, if you're making profits within the first 3 years, amazing. You're a unicorn. But the first 3 years of every business, listen, I work in the media business. We consult with people that consult with Bill Clinton and consult with all the big politicians and CNN and Fox. Our consultant here at Cliff Central says 3 years. It takes 3 years to get a show to be at neutral, to get it going. Not get it successful, to get it going. But what you have to do is 3 years in a row. For those of you in programming, you may know this term, is concatenation. You need a concatenation of events, because when you have that, you compound, right? And in stats, you say you're looking for what they call tipping points. And what that is a series of small events repeated over and over and over again. And we didn't give the Currie Cup a chance. We didn't give Super Rugby a chance. So it's always been amateur. It's always been run by a bunch of amateurs, and now we run overseas. My only problem with it in South Africa is, you know what's going to happen now? We know what's going to happen. Is the teams will never come back. And once you're looking at euros, once you're looking at pounds, as a South African rugby fan, you know what's going to happen? Is the money is going to leave these shores. Because you give it 2 seasons. They're going to see our players are bigger, better, faster. I mean, they seem to think all of our players, when they go, they are the best players in the world. Dude, what you guys have is our mediocre players. We keep our great ones. I mean, I've seen people going nuts about Cheslin Colby like he's Joe Rokothoko. Like, Cheslin Colby's, by South African standards, is whatever. Like, we got 10 of him in school here. People talking about the best rugby player in the world. That's my first problem, is when they go over there, is overseas owners will buy our teams. That's going to happen. By the way, I've always said, this is not hindsight. I've always said, hand it over to billionaires. I think this is now our team saying we had to find a way to do that. And the way is to get away from South Africa's red tape. Because there's a lot of red tape in South Africa to get business going. There just is. We have to face that. There's a reason why Elon Musk had to go to America. There's a reason why big science happens in America, in Sweden. Why big businesses, Spotify, there's a reason it's in Sweden, not in South Africa. There's a reason we can't be entrepreneurs that make, $5-6 trillion companies. There's a reason it can't happen in our space. Our policy is bad. What you can see with the unions is they've probably had conversations, and there's already billionaires in the pipeline who are going to take this thing over. You think Jan Rupert hasn't had a word? Because Jan Rupert, remember, is part of the ownership group, or was, at Saracens. So they know what it's like to work in global environments where it's business friendly, tax breaks, etc. You make it friendly. You make it friendly for businesses. My problem is our talent pool here in South Africa, even though now they're getting no attention, is going to be flattened, because this is the end of the Chiefs, the Kings, and the Cheetahs are in trouble. And that is the hotbed of South African rugby. Bloemfontein, Eastern Cape. Go and look at all your famous teams. Bloemfontein, Eastern Cape. That's where our players are from. When those two regions are strong, they feed everyone. They feed the Sharks, they feed the province. And now that money is going overseas. That is my first problem. Right? That's just from it guts me as a South African that we're really losing between $500 and $1 billion a year. That is now gone overseas, because they're not going to operate in this market. Expect very soon for all of those franchises. I know they'll try and make it look a certain way. Expect their HQs to move overseas. Yes, they'll have their branch offices, and the Stormers office will be in Cape Town, and it'll look like they're operating from here. But expect their business ventures to be in London very, very soon. In Paris very, very soon. Well, France is not a friendly place for businesses, actually. So probably the UK. Expect that. It's the end for our talent pools, because we're struggling now with the money, with everybody here. The focus is going to move overseas because it's professional there, especially in France. Listen, you think when the Stormers get there and they see how all the billionaires run the French clubs. I mean, we had Flip van der Merwe on here, and he told us he had never seen professionalism like he saw in Japan and like he saw in France. Big money, everything's organized, and it's run like the Premier League football. So that is so sad for me that once again we lose out, because really we didn't try. We didn't try in this country. We didn't try and get rid of corruption. We didn't try and help the businesses. We didn't try and get people in place that understand corporate governance. And we didn't try and build the Curry Cup. Because forget it now. The Curry Cup's dead. The Stormers, the big teams are gone. And you know what you're losing as well with that? Is the quality administrators. And we already have so few great administrators in South African sport. They're gone now. Because you know what's going to happen? They're going to get picked up by French clubs. When they see the Stormers doing well, they're like, hey, who's running this operation? All right, what are you earning? R1 million. What do you think of €1 million? Put 15 on that. I got you. You don't even go home. We've sorted out your visa and we've bought you a villa. That's going to happen. The second thing, Northern Hemisphere rugby is Farmers League. It is going to be awful to watch. It is going to be awful to watch. I don't care how many stars they think they can assemble from around Europe. Their players are crap. So what? If I want to watch the Lions, instead of watching them playing the Crusaders, I have to watch them playing a bunch of mediocre French teams with retired Fijian guys and All Blacks that are done and have won their third World Cup, so they're done. I mean, what are we doing? Nobody wants to watch that. Folks, let's have it straight. Within 2 years, I mean, the Lions, the Stormers, the Sharks are going to be they're going to flatten. The Bulls are in a bad place right now. I don't like Jake White. Just like the Bulls are in a bad place. I think they're rebuilding. But expect the Lions, the Sharks, and the Stormers to flatten everything up there. It'll take a year or two, adjust to the weather, blah, blah, blah. But then we got bigger athletes. We play at a faster pace. There is nothing Northern Hemisphere rugby can do to stop us. There is just nothing they have. They think CJ Stander is like Dwayne Vermeulen in Ireland. I mean, just look how they celebrate that guy there. CJ Stander in South African rugby is honestly 7th choice loose forward. If he's lucky, and I'm probably leaving people out. Sikhumbuzo Noche can't get a green shirt at the shops. Forget about getting a Springbok shirt. Hey, listen, when they see Noche overseas, what do you think they're going to say? Honestly, Cheslin Colby is a rotation option. Look how they talk about him in French rugby. They talk about him like he's Christian Cullen. In SA rugby, we're like, oh no, we go to the Platteland and pick up 3-4 guys like that every year. They're at Paulgem now. They're at Paul Boys now. They're at Affies now. Folks, we're a talent factory. And for me, the product is dead. Currie Cup's dead. Vodacom Cup rugby dead because our best administrators are leaving. The rugby's leaving. So 2 things. Crap for logo rugby and the talent, right? But it's an absolute, as they say, a kick in the dick. An absolute kick in the dick for the viewer. Because we don't want to watch it. We're going to pulverize these people. Those are my thoughts. Like, terrible. Terrible. Sanzar, you're terrible. SA Rugby, you're terrible because you never gave it a chance. And we let one of the greatest, the oldest rugby competition in the world, the Currie Cup, we let it erode to dust. So there was a time, 90s, early noughties, Currie Cup was stronger than Super Rugby. It was stronger than Super Rugby. Remember those? I mean, remember a rugby weekend? We used to shut down South Africa. Hey, whose house are we going to for a braai? The rugby's on. Even people that aren't rugby fans, they knew that the Bulls were playing. Forget it. These guys are businessmen. There's going to be businessmen up there who'll buy it. It's that. So my thoughts, terrible. Absolutely terrible for rugby players in South Africa, right? The breadbasket, and terrible for the viewer. If you're a South African viewer, good luck. Good luck. But I've called it now. I don't want to hear it in hindsight that I was right. I know people are saying, oh, what about the timeline? And we're on the same timeline. And finally, and our players don't have to travel. Rubbish. I want to watch us play the All Blacks. And don't really care about Australia. I want to watch us play the All Blacks. And if you don't agree with me, you can go on YouTube, some of the New Zealand players saying how heartbroken they are, that they don't get to play South Africa. Everybody in the world knows. Everybody in the listen, you can go looking for trouble elsewhere. Even when we were bad, we had Corne Krich on here. Even when we were bad, you want a rugby game, you come play these boys. You come down to the south of South Africa where meat is cheap, because our boys come straight off the farm ready to go. Gerardos and the boys and those vendor boys, those Chivenda boys from up north come through at 120 kilograms and they've got arms like bison. We've got the athletes, folks. We are the ticket, but we didn't have the confidence to build the product. We didn't have the confidence to build the product. So good luck. Good luck watching a C-grade product. I'm got to be honest, I'm probably out anyway. I mean, I was out on Super Rugby. I'm not going to watch Northern Hemisphere Rugby. What I will watch is international stuff, though. That isn't going away. Really looking forward. Let's get that going. The Rugby Championship, let's get that back, please, because I really want to get into that, see how I know they're looking at a few iterations between Australia, South Africa, and New Zealand. So really, really looking forward to that. And then, of course, the British Lions next year. I cannot wait. Love to know what you think. I would love to know what you think. And I'll get to know what you think, because after this, coming up, Q&A. Welcome back to it. Welcome back to it. I can't wait for this weekend, man. I just realized how much sport is back. It's so cool. And the boxing's back. We got both Charlo brothers. They got that Jarafajenko fight is going to be it's going to be back. By the way, it's so ridiculous. It's Jermel and Jamal. You got to try and see this. I don't know what their parents were up to, but the boxing's back. Football's back. Tomorrow, football day. I'm going for a run early in the morning and then shut the hell up. Get out my face. I don't even want to know you. Tomorrow, I sent a text to my mom this morning. I said, look, if you're going to do any passing away, please don't do it tomorrow. And if you're going to pass away, please pass away before 1 o'clock tomorrow, because then I can deal with it and get back to the football. Hey, I'm just telling you how I feel. I absolutely love the Premier League, and it's all the way back from 1 o'clock tomorrow. Chelsea, that Arsenal-Brighton game. Do not underestimate Brighton. I think they should have beaten Chelsea. I really do. If they had a little more quality. And then, well, we saw what they did last week to Newcastle. They are serious. That Graham Potter, he's my pick, early dark horse for manager of the season. He's special. And the way Brighton play football is beautiful. Very, very beautiful. And Graham Potter, nice story, having gone to Sweden and coming back. All right, David, what we got, huh? What we got from the fans? Well, what do the people have to say? What do they love? What do they hate? Rikus Swart says, are you going to create a Cliff Central brew pool for Super Rugby Unlocked tournament as well? Rikus, you better believe it. You had better believe it. We'll absolutely create that, and then I'll make sure that we disseminate that information. I will 100% create that. That'll be good fun. It's great to, listen, for the players. I mean, I know one or two of the players. I'm just happy for the players. Let them get back. And I'm happy for people because as South Africa, let's be honest, we're a sporting nation. As much as we love other stuff, we have, every country has politics, obviously, that kind of captures the imagination. But you have to be honest. The weather of our consciousness in South Africa is on a high when the Springboks win, the Proteas win. I can't even say Bafana win, that it doesn't happen. But the weather of our consciousness is shaped when our sporting teams win. We are tribal by our very nature. I mean, we've got, 11, 12 languages in this country, including sign language. So, we have to be honest and say, in this country, there is Jesus and there is sport. And I'm not sure which order it goes in. But the weather of our consciousness as South Africans is determined by whether our rugby, cricket, and football teams win on the weekend or not. So, I think for our social mental health, it's just great to have sport back. No matter what sport, just to watch competition. Get the guys, get the ladies around. We braai on the weekend. Of course, it's coming into spring. So I celebrate sport for so much that I think for the mental health of our country, welcome back sport. And Rikus, you better believe we'll have that Cliff Central brew. Senzo Sitebe says, owners and CEOs need to leave the on-field affairs to the managers. They can't get in each other's way. Senzo, I totally agree. I mean, we live in South Africa. And what is the common line in South Africa? Leave politics out of sport. Anybody who says that to me, all right, I want you to know I will cancel you immediately in my life. You're an idiot. I just want to tell you, anybody who says leave politics out of sport is an idiot. Don't listen to that person. Don't ever take advice from them. Here is why. Where there is money, it doesn't matter where in life, there is politics. Where there is money, there is politics. Economy and politics are synonymous. And if you think South African sport is political, I'm very, very fortunate to have worked with one of the biggest road marathons in the world. You have no idea. The IAAF is one of the most political organizations, and we've seen with FIFA. So, I totally agree with what Senzo is saying. Know your place. CEO, right? CFO. Deal with the politicians. Deal with the red tape. Because what you need to do is you need to shield off the coach. The coach must coach. And this is what I was saying about us losing our best administrators within this rugby process, right? Is that they're going up north and we're not going to see them again. And I don't blame them because you know what happens to good people? We live in a global market now. Folks, this is something we need to get serious about globally. And even as individuals, a mentor always tells me, is you're competing with guys in Taiwan. So if you think you're the best in South Africa and you think you're the man, you're nuts. You are nuts. There's somebody in China right now working 10 times as hard as you are. While you complain and talk about Ariana Huffington's 8 hours of sleep a day, there's somebody right now in Shanghai working and sleeping 2 hours a night. Folks, CEOs, administrators, bureaucrats, do bureaucrat things so that sports people can go and express themselves. And Senzo, I think that is a tremendous point. They mustn't get in each other's way. And in fact, what you should be doing as the bureaucrat, your job's quite simple, actually. Get the money, which is the sponsorship, right? Number one, that is your fundamental task. If you can't do that, you should be fired anyway, because that's the only thing you're really there for. But then get any excuses out the way for the coaches and the guys who look after the players. That's your job. What, facilities? Okay, here we got it. Hotels, sleeping patterns, scientists. What do you need? What do you need to succeed? And don't look for glory, by the way. As an administrator, stay in the office. Bureaucrats, stay in the office. And Senzo, I think it's a great point. And I think we're going to see it, especially in rugby. We're going to suffer with this because, trust me, when those French billionaires see our guys and then the UK billionaires and the North gets exposed to some of the high-quality administrators we have in this country, both at the corporate level and even within team structures at the general manager level, like that. Who wouldn't want to times their salary by 15? Go and live in France with their kids. Give your kids the best education at Oxford. Who wouldn't want to do that? I don't care how patriotic you are, but there comes a time. You have 2 kids, you have a daughter, and she plays volleyball, and a school in France says, "Hey, we'll give her a scholarship, and we'll pay for your house, and then we'll pay. Hey, we've got connections at Sciences Po, we've got connections at Oxford, we've got connections at Cambridge. If your son wants to be a scientist, don't worry, we got you." If you're patriotic, yes, but you have to look at it. And folks, I've always said this. I'm going to say it again. System over talent. Environments don't just happen. You have to curate them. We all work. I keep mentioning this lady. She's a great mentor of mine. She says, stop chasing money. Stop chasing money. Chase leadership. Money's everywhere. Good leadership is like gold dust. It is impossible to find. Chase the leadership. So, Senzo, to your point, I couldn't agree, and it's something that's on my heart right now. I work at a great company, and I always say, got great leadership. So stop chasing money, chase leadership. And I think we're in big trouble in SA Rugby, and I think Senzo Stebe has made a great point. Dave, what we got next? The Rig says, what about Shearer and Ferdinand, or Solskjaer and Van Nistelrooy? Neither of those come close to the 2 that were 5th. Shearer and Ferdinand was at Newcastle. They couldn't win a title together. If anything, the correct combo to go with is Shearer and Sutton for the title at Blackburn there. And what was the second one there, David? Van Nistelrooy and Solskjaer. Solskjaer barely played, you have to say. Solskjaer was probably part of the second rotation, which featured Teddy Sheringham more than Van Nistelrooy. So not even close. Not even close. Great player, though, Ollie. Great player. Magic Rug says, so we have the best rugby talent and school system, etc., but France have a more professional system. Which would you take? We have 3 World Cups. How many have France got? Listen, I think that's a tremendous point. But at some stage, right? At some stage, remember, rugby's still an amateur game. At some stage, if you have enough systems for long enough, we call it in stats the tipping point. You do what New Zealand have done, right? If like France aren't a good example, but England are probably the best example. England have been horrible, absolutely horrible at rugby, other than when they had Sir Clive Woodward, right? But what they're doing is building professional structures, and you watch how it goes. It's like Germany now, Belgium now in football. They're reaping the rewards of 20 years ago. Remember what happened? If you don't know the Bundesliga, they set up 20 years ago the project that Germany is the number 1 team here, right? And what they did was every team in the Bundesliga has to play the same formation, and you have to identify 2 German players per season. We're not saying that it's in the rules, but you kind of understand what has to happen here. Every team, so you can watch Bundesliga, by the way. I'm not making this up. Every team in the Bundesliga plays the same formation. That is mandated from the DFB. The Mannschaft are the main team. We are not interested in what Bayern Munich do. We are interested in the German national team. Every team in the Bundesliga plays the same formation. So what's happened there is Germany were horrible, 90s, noughties, right? But what's happening now? Those young Manuel Neuer was at the beginning when they started that system. So you look at the French teams now, rugby's at the infancy of professionalism, and it's still such an amateur game. But France is way ahead. England is way ahead. It's way ahead. And here's another thing. Now you know what happens with our school's talent? At least we could trap them here for a while. At least they weren't getting all the eyes in their second year of Super Rugby. Oh, you better believe it. Now you think they're going to go there? You think what? The Racing Club 92 aren't going to go, who's that guy? He runs as fast as anything we've got. He's 100 kilogram. Come on now. So which would I rather take? I mean, I guess at an international level, it's in the moment, if we're looking in the moment, but I like to look ahead. But in the moment, it's not close. And talent is only going to take you so far. Eventually, we will crash. I don't care how good our school system is. Eventually, we will crash. Remember, rugby is still a very local game. But we're starting to see our boys getting snatched earlier and earlier and earlier. I can confirm, I know 2 rugby players right now, 2 of the best rugby players in South Africa in schools rugby. We didn't play this year, but I can tell you right now, grade 11, they had an English and an Irish team chasing them, already offering contracts, already speaking to their parents about relocating. Not sure how legal it is. I'm just telling you, because I know the headmaster personally at the school, 2 of the best rugby players in the school got recruited in grade 11. So right now, of course, the Springboks, in 12 years, don't know. We keep this up. We don't know. We just don't know. Stephen Brooks says, I will be doing the same. Football in the morning, and then it's Premier League at 13:30, 4 o'clock, 18:30, and 20, and then repeat. That's it. See, by the way, Stephen Brooks, I think he's the Leeds guy. He's the Leeds fan. Welcome back, Stephen Brooks, to the league. So which football? Are you talking, I wonder if he's talking about American football, because that's on Saturday. Then there's NBA as well. We're talking game 4. So yeah, Saturday, folks, is a write-off. Or maybe he's playing football. Stephen, you may be playing football, and that's awesome. That is awesome. That's the way to do it, right? Is exercise in the morning, punch it out. You know, if you're not boring like me tonight, you might be out with the lads and the lasses. You're out there having a great time. And then tomorrow morning, you go run it out and you have the time of your life. And then you start all over again. Saturday is going to be unbelievable. Tomorrow is just unbelievable. Back to back to back football. Welcome back, Premier League. And I can't wait for the Football League to come back. By the way, I enjoy watching the Football League. So love that. I just love it, man. Stephen Brooks, good for you. Ricka Swart says, do you think some of the British and Irish Lions tickets will be on sale again next year? I received the cuck news today that my application was unsuccessful. Hey, Rickus, that is unfortunate. You know, who knows, man? Because, you know, we have to be honest, we're in a difficult economy. Maybe some people may scalp tickets, which will be tragic because they'll be charging 10 times. And I hate to break your heart, but probably not, because this event is more special than the World Cup. The World Cup comes around every 4 years. The British and Irish Lions comes around every 12 years. That's different, right? No, that's once in a player's career. So we'll see the British and Irish Lions again in 12 years' time. I hate to break your heart, Rickers, but keep your ear to the ground. And if I hear of anything, of course, I'll pass it on. Whew. But that's going to be tough. You're going to have to rip tickets away from people, I think. Some people will scalp, of course. People buy to resell, which is illegal, blah, 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 whatever. That's life. Sometimes life happens in the underground. You need your Shylocks, as they call them. But yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. Probably not. Lulama Kabaka says, the problem is not red tape. The problem is we need 3 months bank statement, certified ID, copy and proof of residence. If you're an international viewer and you don't understand that, that's so funny. That's so good. We have the best viewers. Is everywhere you go in South Africa, in order to just open a bank account, to open a clothing account, right? To open a cell phone account. In Europe, hey, I need a SIM card. What's your name? Good, go. Get the hell out of here. Here, you need blood type. It's murder. It's murder to get a cell phone in South Africa. Just to get a pay-as-you-go cell phone SIM card as well. It's murder. You need literally 3 months bank statement. Who are you? What happened? Why don't you date black girls? You got to reveal everything. It's nuts. What's your shoe size? When are you going home? Why is your mum such a horrible person? These are the types of questions we're getting to. But Lulama, that's absolutely hilarious and too true. Too true. China, my China, says, best national combo, Lampard and Gerrard, although together they never won England a title, great as they were individually. I've always said that was a mistake. They should have dropped Gerrard. I've always said, and I promise I'm not saying this in hindsight, they should have dropped Gerrard. It should have been Lampard and Scholes from the beginning. You should never have shipped Scholes to the left. Sven made a huge, huge mistake. You had two of the same players. And you know what the problem was? Is they were both very similar. They wanted to start deep, control the midfield with passing and movement. And they both had great engines and great power. But their greatest strength was what? Their long distance shooting, both of them. And then they used to break late into the box. So you were playing Steven Gerrard with... Steven Gerrard's not a what they call in Italian football, a regista. He's not Pirlo. So you remember he even took on the number 4 shirt and he was playing deeper for Lampard to go and attack. And then they kind of tried this thing where they let the other go and then, no, folks, stop. And then I think the biggest mistake that they made, when Owen Hargreaves came onto the scene, I hate to say this, and unfortunately he was injury prone. Prime Hargreaves was better than both of them. Right? Prime Hargreaves was better than both of them. So no, I don't think that was a great combo. I think individually they were great, but that wasn't a good duo. That was a bad duo. That was a bad duo. Big egos, both leaders, and it was clear that one of them wanted to take England on their backs, but they couldn't. Sven, you needed a proper manager, and they still haven't had one. And when they got one, they fired him and Capello. They didn't give him a chance. That was because Lampard's goal against Germany, but whatever. That's not Lampard's fault. That was a goal in the 2010 World Cup. It was well over the line, but Germany did their thing, and the so-called golden generation. Yeah, not a good duo. All right, what we got, Dev? Magic Rug says Rivaldo, Ronaldinho, and Ronaldo. Pretty good attacking combo for Brasilia. I tell you what, that Rivaldo, if you aren't old like me, that Rivaldo, once World Player of the Year, one of the greatest players ever. Crafty, always in the right place, insane work rate, and an absolute diamond cutter of a left foot. I think Ronaldinho, I've always been on the fence with. All talent, but again, Maradona-like talent, right? Maradona-like talent, like off the charts. So he could afford to go to the club. He could afford to go to the clubs. I think Ronaldinho was, but the best of the three was, and I think you look at that 2002 World Cup, I would probably say, if you had to give me a choice of just three to make the best Brazilian combo that I've ever seen, I take Ronaldinho out and I put Kaká in there. I love Ronaldinho. He's all-time talent, by the way. In terms of talent, one of the greatest of all time. I would have liked to see it 4 or 5 more years. But I put Kaká in there, and you give me Kaká, Rivaldo, and Ronaldo. And then we're talking. Because Kaká was just it for me. When we talk about a number 10, my favorite number 10 of all time, right, is Manuel Rui Costa, right? I loved him. And my favorite 1-2 punch, even though I'm an Inter Milan fan, was when he played. And if you're old like me, you'll remember the classic Nintendo kit, the white and purple one. Rui Costa and Batigol, Gabi Batistuta, right? They were terrorizing people at that Fiorentina team for 4 or 5 years. That's my favorite 1-2 punch. But listen, Ronaldinho, that famous chip over Seaman's head, which was a shot, by the way. England fans must stop saying it was a misplaced free kick. Ronaldinho is not miskicking the ball by that much. He's clearly lobbing semen there. One of the greatest goals you have ever seen. Ronaldinho, one of the greatest talents you've ever seen. And for 2-3 years, by the way, in a Barcelona shirt. Possibly 2 of the greatest seasons you'll ever see. The other guy, by the way, in that trio, I needed 1 season to see him at the age of 19 to say he is the greatest striker to ever live. Ronaldo R9 at 19 years old. Expectation is a killer, people. He went to Barcelona with the great Brian Robson. Brian Robson said he'd never seen anything like it. 19, first season, came in. At the stage, Barcelona had a world-class striker by the name of Alfonso, who was ripping the league up. Ripping the league up. They brought this guy in at 19, apparently first training session, and Jose Mourinho was there by the time, by the way, as a translator. Brian Robson said, I've never seen anything like this. He's 19 years old. Ronaldo, you must respect that, is as good as it gets. The greatest there's ever been as a pure striker. Some people, it's very rare that you get a talent like that. Maradona, right? Pelé, Kaká. You only need to see 1 season. You don't need to see 10 seasons. Ronaldinho, I love, but even in his greater seasons, it was patchy because he'd be like, I think we have to be honest. It was the flashy stuff that probably made him look a bit more better than he was, but he's not Rivaldo, right? Let's be honest. Ronaldinho is not Rivaldo. Stop with the flashy stuff. And I love the flashy stuff, by the way. Joga bonito. But he's not Rivaldo. He's not Kaká. And nobody is Ronaldo. Nobody is R9 Ronaldo. And if you need to see that season again, there are many documentaries of his season at Barcelona. And then you go and look at his first season at Inter. My God. Him and Christian Vieri. There was a time they had Christian Vieri, Ivan Zamorano, and the great R9 at Inter Milan. Ivan Zamorano, famous for wearing 8+1 because he wanted the number 9 jersey. Insane. But hey, that's a great combo. I would not turn that down, let's just say. You offer me Messieurs Ronaldinho, Ronaldo, and Rivaldo. The 3 R's, they took them to the World Cup with, I think, those were the 3 Mavericks. That was the magic. Kaká was the solidarity. All right, Kaká was the class. All right, lads, let's settle down. You guys do what you do. We're never going to lose the ball. Give it to me. We're going to put it on my shoulders. And I want no glory. You guys go do your thing. So I agree. That is a very famous and brilliant front 3, by the way. Rikus Swart says, I hate the Bulls and I don't like Jake White. However, Jake knows how to win. You can expect the Bulls to be right up there in whatever competition they'll take part in. Wow, next year already. So Rikus thinks Jake's going to turn it around immediately, huh? Hey, Jake, I'm not sure if you remember the early on against Australia. Jake tends to struggle early because he wants a system. But it's interesting that you say that. Remember, we lost 49-0 to Australia in the first year. And we lost for a while under Jake. It took sort of 2-3 years. But you think Jake's going to come in immediately, Mourinho style, huh? Come in, fix it immediately, get rid of the rubbish. We do it my way. In 2 years, we blow it up, but at least we win. And it's a good point. One thing you have to respect about Jake is he doesn't apologize for doing it his way. And that's how winners do it. And look, Rikus, I think you have to be honest, and everybody out there. I know, as much as I love all my friends, probably 1 or 2 of them are winners, because winning's ugly. Because winning means one thing, and it's one thing Jose Mourinho and I think Jake White share. Yes, you'll blow things up because people don't like you, because you won't tolerate nonsense. But winners don't care who likes them or not. Isn't there a truer statement about Jake White? Jake does not care. Love me or hate me, judge me on my results. Don't tell me I scream too much. Don't tell me I'm a dictator. Watch the results. Watch my work. And that's how all winners are, by the way. Please don't think everyone at Man United love Fergie. Winning's an ugly business, and I believe Jake White possesses the most important trait. If you want to win, and when I say win, I mean win big, win properly. In sport, the beauty of sport is there's no middle ground. There are winners and there are losers, and there's a scoreboard as well, which is lovely. So there's no excuses of, I went to Montessori, I also deserve a chance. No. You either can get men to get on your side or women on your side to perform at the highest level for a consistent amount of time for a single goal. And I think you have to say, I mean, Jake went to the Brumbies. They were competitive. They went from absolute zeros to heroes pretty quickly. So, Rikus, you may be onto something. But I'm interested to see, because Jake, with his English culture, he's got a bit of the Soti culture. He's going to take it to the Bulls, and you know how the mana at Loftus are. We'll see how that rubs against each other, because both cultures are strong. Jake likes to bring his own strength, his own power, and he rules with an iron fist. The Bulls, they've been the bullies in Africa, right, of rugby. And they say, hey, the Bulls are strong, South African rugby is strong. So let's see how that works out. Rikus, looking forward to seeing how that goes. We'll definitely chat about that, and we'll keep an eye on it. Ladies and gentlemen, you could have been anywhere with anybody tonight. By the way, before you go, push a like, because that pushes us up the ratings. And people can see that we are doing our thing here at Cliff Central, along with Big Shot Media. Right? Rika says, Jake won his Tri-Nations the first year straight after the Strowley era. He lost 49 in the third year in charge. He turned around the Brumbies and the Sharks in the first season. Yeah, no, great point there. I confused that 49-0 just still sits in my heart, when PSPs had maybe the worst game any single rugby player has ever had. Look, it's interesting that you think that. I'm really, Rikus, I'm interested to watch it, because you know what? Can he move in, can he go into the Bulls and get rid of the Bulls mentality and get Jake mentality in there? It'll be interesting to watch. It'll be interesting to watch, and it'll be great to see. In the end, the Bulls want to win. Jake wants to win. Rikus, I think it's a great point. I think Rikus makes a great point. It's going to be ugly, though. Folks, if you're a Bulls fan, it's going to be ugly. It's going to be messy, right? It's kind of like Anna Nicole Smith and Kurt Cobain. It was fireworks and drugs and electricity while it was happening. But it was quick, short, and when it exploded, my God, the Hindenburg. My God, the Hindenburg. Folks, that is it for this week. Absolutely brilliant. We've had a great week. I've had a great week. Monday, Tuesday, we'll have two great guests. One of the greatest triathletes on this planet. Went to the same school as me. Or I guess actually he achieved in his life. So I went to the same school as him. We'll have him Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. Not too sure yet. Really excited about that. One of the greatest triathletes on this planet. For this weekend, though, you could have been anywhere, doing anything with anybody. You chose us. Folks, I appreciate the sport. We appreciate the sport. Cliff Central Sport, Big Shot Media. We are trying to change the sporting landscape and how we consume it on this continent and beyond. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Cliff Central Sport on the YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Cliff C Sport. sport@cliffcentral.com. Ladies and gentlemen, for another week, be safe, be loved, enjoy the sporting world, enjoy celebration. If you're in South Africa, get out there and enjoy being with your loved ones. Enjoy your barbecues, braais, and of course, enjoy the football. Ladies and gentlemen, for this week, it has been the MKT Show.